Ladies and gentlemen, imagine a world where every tear you shed, every pain you carry in silence, is seen and acknowledged by a divine presence that knows your story intimately. Today, I want to remind you of a truth that can transform your perspective. God sees who hurts you. In this space, I want you to really lean into the truth that no matter how invisible your pain feels, no matter how much you believe that your wounds go unnoticed, the divine is always watching over you. It's easy to feel small when life's hardships hit hard, when betrayal cuts deep, or when injustice seems to prevail. Sometimes the weight of what we carry can make us question whether anyone truly sees us, whether the tears we shed in the quiet moments are being acknowledged. But I want you to understand this: God sees who hurts you. This isn't just a comforting phrase. It's a reality grounded in the divine order of the universe. When life feels like a storm with no end, and your heart aches from the pain inflicted by others, remember that you are not alone. The pain, the tears, the heartbreak, they are not hidden from the divine. Your suffering, your struggles, and your silent battles are known by a higher power who is intimately aware of every tear that falls. Sometimes it's hard to believe that when we're in the midst of pain, we look around and it seems like life is unfair, like the people who hurt us are moving on unscathed, while we're left picking up the broken pieces of ourselves. We ask, does anyone see what I'm going through? Does anyone notice the wounds I carry beneath the surface? The answer is yes. Yes, God sees. And more than that, He cares. When you feel invisible, remember that divine perception isn't limited by the boundaries of human understanding. God's eyes are everywhere. Before you even wake up in the morning, He's already aware of your pain. When you're lying awake at night, overwhelmed by grief or frustration, He's watching over you, quietly holding your tears, quietly tending to your wounds. When words fail to express what you're feeling, God is listening intently, compassionately, patiently. It's important to realize that the divine isn't just passively observing, it's actively engaged in your life. Nothing you go through is missed by God. Every injustice, every heartbreak, every disappointment is seen by Him. It's recorded in the divine ledger, and one day, every account will be settled. That's not just hope. That's a divine promise rooted in truth. The divine sees your pain because it's part of your story. It's part of what shapes you, molds you, and ultimately prepares you for your purpose. Your tears are not wasted. Your pain is not meaningless. Even when it feels like the world is against you and the hurt is relentless, remember that the divine has a special place for your suffering. It's not a place of neglect, but a place of divine awareness. When the enemy tries to convince you that your tears go unnoticed, that your pain is invisible, remind yourself that the divine sees it all. That's what gives you strength, knowing that you're never truly alone, that the divine's gaze is fixed on you with compassion and purpose. Sometimes the wounds inflicted by others can make you feel like you've been cast aside, like your voice doesn't matter, like your suffering is too small to be noticed. But I want you to understand that divine perception doesn't operate on the same scale as human perception. It's not limited by time, space, or circumstances. The divine sees your pain when you're at your lowest, when you're feeling broken and defeated. It sees your tears falling silently in the dark. It sees the injustice that others have tried to hide or dismiss. And here's the truth that can change everything. The divine's awareness of your pain is coupled with compassion. It's not just a distant, indifferent gaze, but a loving, attentive watchfulness that says, I see you. I know what you're going through, and I am with you in this. That knowledge alone can give you the courage to keep going, to stand firm even when the world seems to be against you. Because if the divine sees, then your pain is not in vain. It's part of a divine plan that is unfolding behind the scenes. When you're hurting, it's tempting to want immediate release, immediate justice, immediate answers. Sometimes life doesn't give us those quick fixes, and that's where faith becomes essential. Faith teaches us that even in the silence, even when we feel unseen by others, the divine is actively working on our behalf. It's not neglecting us, it's preparing us. It's aligning divine timing with our purpose. Think about it. When you're in the middle of a storm, it's hard to see the calm that's coming. But the divine sees beyond the storm. It sees the greater purpose behind your pain. It understands that your tears are watering the seeds of your future blessings. It recognizes that the wounds inflicted upon you are shaping you into a stronger, wiser version of yourself. It perceives the hidden lessons in your suffering that will eventually lead you to your destiny. So I want you to hold on to this truth tightly. You are seen and known by the divine even when the world is silent about your pain. Your tears are noticed. Your heartbreak is understood. Your struggles are not lost in the void. They are registered in the divine's heart, and because of that, you can face each day with hope, knowing that your pain isn't wasted. It's being used to build a testimony that will inspire others and glorify the divine's power to heal and restore. And as you carry this truth within you, remember that divine perception is not just about seeing your pain. It's about seeing your potential. The divine sees the greatness hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be revealed through your perseverance. When others turn away or dismiss your suffering, the divine is watching with unwavering attention, preparing a way for your breakthrough. This awareness that you are seen becomes the foundation of your resilience. It's what anchors you when everything around you seems unstable. It's what gives you courage when despair threatens to overwhelm you. Because if the divine sees your pain, then your pain has a purpose. It's not the end of your story. It's a part of your divine narrative that will lead to a new chapter of victory, healing, and restoration. Your pain is not too small for divine attention. Your tears do not fall unnoticed. The divine is set on your side, watching, caring, and working behind the scenes. Even when you can't see it, your suffering is seen, and in that divine perception lies the promise that nothing is wasted and no pain is forever. That's the reality that can carry you through the darkest nights, reminding you that you are never truly alone, because the divine sees you, and that alone is enough to keep hope alive. When life hits hard, when the wounds inflicted by others cut deep and leave scars that seem to define us, it's easy to forget that our perspective is limited. We look at the pain, the injustice, the unfair treatment, and think, this is all there is, as if our suffering is all that exists in our story. But I want to challenge that way of thinking today. I want to remind you that while human hurt can feel relentless, finite, and overwhelming, divine perspective is eternal, expansive, and filled with purpose. Think about it. When we're caught in the middle of the storm, it's natural to focus on the rain, the wind, and the chaos. We see the hurtfulness of others' actions, the betrayal, the rejection, the loss, and sometimes we get so caught up in the pain that we forget that the storm is only part of a larger picture that's unfolding far beyond what our eyes can see. That's where divine perspective comes into play. It's the lens through which we are meant to view our pain, our setbacks, and our suffering, not as the end, but as part of a greater story that is still being written. In those moments when life feels like it's closing in, remember that what appears to be the end is often simply a new beginning in disguise. When people betray us or abandon us, it's easy to believe that we're broken beyond repair, that the hurt is permanent, that we've lost everything that mattered. But divine perspective says otherwise. It whispers to us that the pain we experience today is temporary, but the divine purpose behind it is eternal. It reminds us that what the enemy meant to destroy us with, what was meant to break us, can be transformed into something beautiful if we allow divine wisdom to guide our understanding. It's often said that what we focus on expands. When we put our attention on our pain and injustice, it can feel like that pain grows stronger, taking over our thoughts and overtaking our hope. But when we shift our focus to divine perspective, what the divine sees and knows, we begin to see the bigger picture. We realize that our suffering is not in vain. It's shaping us, refining us, and preparing us for a future that is beyond anything we could have imagined. It's like the process of refining gold. When it's heated and purified, it shines brighter, stronger, more valuable. Our pain, if handled correctly, can refine us into the best version of ourselves. The divine perspective invites us to see through the lens of hope, of faith, and of divine purpose. It's choosing to believe that every hurtful experience, every betrayal, every disappointment is not the final chapter. Instead, it's a part of the story that God is using to mold us, to teach us resilience, and to prepare us for what's next. When you look at your pain through divine perspective, you understand that your current suffering is not the whole story. It's simply a chapter, and the next chapter is waiting to be written with hope, healing, and victory. This shift in perspective is powerful because it changes how we respond to pain. Instead of reacting out of hurt, bitterness, or despair, we begin to respond with patience, trust, and faith. We stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? How is this shaping me for what's to come? It's a mature, divine way of thinking, knowing that we are not victims of circumstance, but active participants in a divine process. We are being transformed. And every painful moment is a part of that transformation. Many of us have experienced disappointments that felt like the end of the world. We've had dreams shattered, relationships broken, opportunities lost. And in those moments, it's tempting to believe that life has nothing left to offer us. that we're stuck in a season of pain with no way out. But divine perspective reminds us that seasons are temporary. Just as winter gives way to spring, our pain will give way to purpose. What feels like the end is often just a new beginning waiting to emerge when we see through divine eyes. Trusting divine perspective requires us to surrender our limited understanding and embrace faith. It's about trusting that even when we can't see the full picture, God can. It's about believing that what's happening right now is not the final destination, but a part of a divine detour that will lead us to our destiny. When we adopt this mindset, we stop asking, why me? And start asking, what can I learn from this? Or how can I grow through this? We begin to see setbacks as setups for a comeback, failures as lessons that refine us, and suffering as a necessary step toward our divine purpose. Divine perspective also teaches us patience. It reminds us that sometimes the greatest lessons and blessings come not in the immediate, but in the waiting. Waiting isn't easy. It can be painful, frustrating, and disheartening. But it's in the waiting that divine perspective becomes crucial. It's in the quiet moments of patience that faith is cultivated and strength is built. When we understand that divine timing is perfect, we learn to trust the process rather than rush the promise. We recognize that what's meant for us cannot be missed, and that the divine is orchestrating everything for our good, even when we can't see it. This shift also helps us to develop compassion, not only for ourselves, but for others. When we see pain as part of a divine plan, we become less judgmental of those who hurt us. We realize that everyone is fighting their own battles, carrying wounds we may never see. Understanding divine perspective encourages us to extend grace, patience, and forgiveness, knowing that we are all on a journey of growth and healing. It's a reminder that our pain can be used to foster empathy and love, making us stronger, kinder, and more compassionate human beings. As we embrace divine perspective, we also come to understand that our pain can be a catalyst for growth. It's in our most vulnerable moments that we discover depths of resilience and strength we never knew we had. Pain can teach us humility, patience, and perseverance. It can open our eyes to the true value of faith and the importance of trusting a divine plan that's much larger than ourselves. When we see our suffering through divine perspective, we realize that it's not just about enduring, it's about evolving, becoming more aligned with our higher purpose. Understanding divine perspective doesn't mean denying the reality of pain. It means seeing beyond it. It means recognizing that pain is temporary, but growth is eternal. It means trusting that the divine is working behind the scenes, even when we can't see it, and that every hardship is an opportunity for divine intervention and transformation. When we shift our focus from just surviving to thriving through divine perspective, we find a new level of peace, hope, and confidence. We embrace the truth that our pain is a stepping stone towards something greater, and that with divine guidance, we will emerge stronger, wiser, and more purposeful on the other side. The journey toward divine perspective is a daily choice. It's a conscious decision to see with eyes of faith rather than eyes of fear, to trust beyond what's visible, and to believe that every setback is part of a divine setup for your comeback. It's about holding on to hope even when circumstances seem bleak, knowing that divine timing is perfect and that your story is still being written. When you begin to see through divine eyes, you realize that your pain isn't the end of your story. It's merely a chapter that's preparing you for what's next. And so you keep moving forward, knowing that your pain, your setbacks, and your disappointments are all part of a divine process that will ultimately lead you into your greatest season yet. Divine perspective is the key that unlocks hope, resilience, and a renewed sense of purpose. It's the lens that transforms suffering into strength, pain into purpose, and setbacks into setups for a glorious comeback. Your story is still being written, and divine perspective reminds you that every chapter, even the painful ones, are necessary for your divine destiny. There's something about the weight of disappointment that can sometimes feel like it's crushing the very core of your spirit. It's easy to think that if things don't go the way you planned, if doors close or opportunities slip through your fingers, that somehow you've missed your chance, that maybe you're not enough, or that life is just against you. But I want you to understand today that disappointment is not the end of your story. It's a part of your divine process, a necessary chapter that's preparing you for something greater. When disappointment knocks at your door, it often comes disguised as rejection, failure, or a closed door. It whispers to you that maybe you're not cut out for what you desire, that your dreams are too big or too impossible. But I need you to see that disappointment is simply a signal, a signpost guiding you toward what's next. It's a redirection, not a rejection. Sometimes what you thought was meant for you is just a stepping stone, a lesson, or a detour designed to teach you resilience, patience, and faith. The truth is, disappointment can be a gift if you learn to see it through divine perspective. It's in those moments of unmet expectation that we are forced to confront our deepest fears and doubts. It's where we discover the true strength of our faith, faith that believes beyond what we see and feel. When life doesn't go according to plan, it's an opportunity to dig deeper, to trust more fully, and to lean into divine wisdom that knows what's best for us even when we don't understand it at the moment. It's tempting to get stuck in the pain of disappointment and to believe that perhaps you're unworthy or that your dreams are unattainable. But divine truth reminds us that disappointment isn't the final chapter. It's a chapter that's meant to refine us, transform us, and prepare us for what's ahead. Every closed door, every rejection, every setback is a divine redirection, pushing us toward a better, more aligned purpose. When you look at disappointment as a divine setup, it shifts your mindset from despair to hope. It transforms the feeling of failure into a lesson of resilience and growth. Think about it. Some of the most powerful stories of success and breakthrough are born out of disappointment. Those moments where everything seemed to fall apart, where the plans you had didn't materialize often became the very foundation for your greatest comeback. Disappointment teaches us humility. It humbles us enough to realize that we're not in control of everything, but we serve a divine God who is. It teaches us patience, waiting on divine timing, trusting that what's meant for us will come at the right moment, even if it's not on our schedule. Sometimes disappointment is a call to pause, to reflect, and to realign our focus. It's an invitation to ask ourselves, am I walking in my purpose? Or am I chasing something that's not meant for me? It's a moment to evaluate whether our plans align with divine plans. When we surrender our own agendas and trust divine guidance, disappointment loses its sting because we realize that God's plan is always better than ours. It's about trusting that what is delayed is not denied. What is held back is being prepared for us in divine timing. Disappointment can also reveal what we truly value and desire. It strips away the superficial and pushes us to dig deep into our hearts to discover what we're truly passionate about. It forces us to confront our fears and insecurities, but it also opens the door for divine strength to emerge. It's in those moments of disappointment that we are called to look inward, to find the fire within that refuses to give up, to find that unwavering belief that we are destined for more. You see, disappointment is often a reflection of our hopes and dreams. It shows us what we long for, what we believe is possible. And if we can learn to see disappointment not as a failure, but as a fertile ground for growth, then we begin to understand that every setback is an opportunity to come back stronger, wiser, and more determined. It's a divine reset, a pause that prepares us for the next move, the next season, the next level of our destiny. The key is to hold on to hope even when hope feels faint. To trust that divine timing is perfect, even when everything around us seems to be falling apart. To remember that disappointment is not a dead end, but a detour leading us to a divine destination. When we embrace this truth, we develop resilience, the kind that doesn't crumble under pressure, but rises stronger because it's rooted in divine strength. Resilience isn't just about bouncing back, it's about bouncing forward, with faith and purpose guiding every step. Resilience is cultivated through faith, through the refusal to give up when life pushes us down. It's about standing back up with a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that every disappointment is shaping us into who we're meant to become. It's about seeing setbacks as setups for a comeback, failures as lessons, and delays as divine appointments. When disappointment comes knocking, remind yourself that it's a sign you're on the verge of a breakthrough, that the divine is working behind the scenes, orchestrating your next move. Disappointments can also be divine opportunities for growth and character. They teach us patience, humility, perseverance, and trust. They teach us not to rely solely on our own understanding, but to lean into divine wisdom. They teach us to be grateful for the journey, even when the destination seems uncertain. Disappointments remind us that life isn't just about achieving goals, but about becoming the person who can handle the blessings when they arrive. They prepare us for what's coming by stripping away what's unnecessary and refining what remains. And in those moments of disappointment, remember to speak life over your circumstances. Speak hope, faith, and courage. Declare that this setback is only temporary, that divine plans are still in motion, and that you're destined for more. Speak the truth that your purpose is bigger than any disappointment, and that your divine destiny is still unfolding. When you speak life, you shift your mindset from despair to hope, from defeat to victory. You start to see the disappointment as a divine setup rather than a setback. Disappointment can also teach us the importance of community and support. Sometimes we try to carry everything on our own, hiding our pain and disappointment behind a brave face. But divine wisdom reminds us that we are not meant to go through life alone. There are people placed in our path to encourage us, to uplift us, to remind us of our worth and our divine purpose. Don't be afraid to lean on others, to share your struggles, and to accept help. When we allow others to walk with us through disappointment, we find renewed strength and hope. Remember that divine timing often involves seasons of waiting. Waiting can be uncomfortable, even painful, but it's also necessary. It's in the waiting that our faith is stretched, our character is developed, and our trust in divine sovereignty deepens. Waiting teaches patience, and patience produces perseverance. It's in that process that we learn to surrender control and trust that divine plans are better than ours. Waiting isn't a sign of weakness, but a testament to our faith, that we believe the best is yet to come, and that our divine breakthrough is on its way. When disappointment tries to whisper that you've missed your chance, remind yourself that divine opportunities are never lost, they are only delayed. When doors close, it's often because a better door is opening, a door that is aligned with divine purpose and timing. Trust in that divine process and refuse to settle for less than what's meant for you. Keep your heart open, your faith strong, and your hope alive, knowing that every disappointment is preparing you for a divine comeback that will surpass your expectations. You are designed for more. Your dreams are valid. Your purpose is real, and your divine destiny is unfolding with perfect precision. Disappointments are just part of the journey, necessary chapters that teach us resilience, patience, faith, and character. Embrace them, learn from them, and keep moving forward with unwavering hope and divine confidence, knowing that no setback can stop what God has ordained for you. Your story is still being written, and the next chapter is filled with promise, power, and divine purpose.